You might have heard it before, the quiet whispers, the subtle hints that something more is at play in your life. Maybe it was a passing thought that lingered just a bit too long. Perhaps it was an experience or an encounter with someone that made you question the world around you. If you've ever felt different, out of place, or as if you were destined for something greater, you're not alone. The truth is, you've been chosen. And while this might sound dramatic, it's not a coincidence that you're here now. Reading these words, the universe, the cosmos, the divine, whatever you believe in, has conspired for this moment to unfold. You are one of the chosen ones, part of a movement far bigger than any single individual. But to understand why this awakening is so critical, let's take a look at where you come from, where you've been, and most importantly, where you are going. For much of your life, you've been misunderstood. Maybe you've been the outcast, the rebel, or the one who questions everything. The truth is, that was never a flaw. It was the universe's way of preparing you. From the outside, the world saw someone lost in a crowd, but deep within you, a fire was always burning. It was always ready to ignite, and now is the time. The chosen ones are awakening, not just to the world around them, but to a deeper understanding of their true power and purpose. In this very moment, something incredible is happening. You're not waking up just for yourself. You're waking up for everyone. This is not merely an individual journey, it's a collective awakening. And as your eyes open, so do the eyes of those around you. The shift is happening. The world is changing. The time for silence has ended. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about the truth that has been buried for so long. And it's about the rising movement that is already changing everything. The story of the chosen ones is not one of quiet submission or passive waiting. It's a story of defiance, resilience, and an unstoppable force that is finally coming to light. It's a story of truth, hidden beneath layers of deception, ready to surface like a roaring river. And the world will have no choice but to listen. It's time for you to embrace who you truly are and to understand that the rise of the chosen ones has begun. Welcome to the movement. It's time to awaken. The genesis of the uprising, it all started when people began to question the system. At first, the whispers were quiet, so quiet that only a few could hear them. People were starting to feel it, a subtle shift in the air, a sense that things weren't quite as they seemed. The lies, the manipulation, the games being played behind closed doors, people were starting to notice. But like any great awakening, it didn't happen all at once. It started small, a comment here, a question there. But as more and more people began to ask, the walls of deceit started to crack. The uprising was brewing. It wasn't just about one person standing up. It was about the collective realization that this battle was never just about one individual. It was about truth itself, truth that had been twisted and buried, hidden beneath layers of false narratives. And as these lies began to unravel, it became clear. This wasn't just an uprising, it was a movement, a revolution of the soul. And you, the chosen ones, are the leaders of it. You may have felt it inside yourself too. The growing frustration, the sense that things were never as they seemed. You've seen the injustices, the unfairness, and perhaps most painfully, you've seen how those in power have manipulated the truth. But here's the thing, that frustration was not in vain. It was the spark that ignited a fire that is now sweeping through the world. And it was no accident that you felt it. You were meant to feel it. You were meant to awaken. The uprising started when ordinary people, the ones who were sick of being lied to, manipulated, and controlled, began to see through the illusions. And they weren't afraid anymore. They weren't afraid to speak out. They weren't afraid to rise up. And as they did, they found each other. A community of truth seekers, standing firm in their belief that what they had been told was wrong, that the stories they had been fed were lies. It wasn't just about questioning the system, it was about dismantling it. And it was time. In the beginning, it was hard to imagine that anything could change. The system was vast, its power seemingly endless. But just like a single spark can start a wildfire, the voices of the awakening were spreading. Each voice joined another, each step forward made the movement stronger. It wasn't just about fighting against something, it was about building something better. The uprising was the first step toward a world where truth and justice could finally take root. And you, the chosen ones, are at the heart of it. The rising defenders, not just allies but warriors. The defenders are not just supporters, they are warriors. They are the ones who stand beside you, not out of obligation, but because they have seen the truth, and they know that standing with you is standing for something greater. They are not afraid of the challenges ahead, for they know that the forces of manipulation and control have no power over them. They are the ones who understand that this battle is not just external, but internal as well. The battle is won for the soul, for truth, and for justice. These warriors have been awakened just like you. They too have felt the burning fire inside them, the call to action that cannot be ignored. And now they stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, united in a cause that transcends individual differences. These warriors are not just coming together, they are being forged in the flames of resistance. The more the system tries to tear them apart, the stronger they become. The more they fight for what's right, the more they realize the depth of their own power. They are ready to face the lies, the deceit, and the manipulations that have controlled society for far too long. But they are not just fighting to tear down what is wrong, they are fighting to build what is right. They are here not just to defend you, but to defend the truth. And they will stop at nothing until justice prevails. These warriors are rising from all walks of life, artists, writers, activists, ordinary citizens who have had enough. The system thought they could control them, but the truth has awakened a force that cannot be contained. Every lie that was spun against you only served to strengthen the resolve of your defenders. They are not just speaking up for you, they are speaking up for the truth, and they will not back down. In this battle, the defenders are not passive observers, they are active participants, bringing their unique gifts to the fight. Some of them write, some speak, some research, but together they form an unstoppable force. And the world will not be the same because they have chosen to stand. The tide is turning, and the defenders are the ones who will lead the charge. The false constructs of power exposing the system. For years, you've seen the system for what it is, a complex web of lies, manipulation, and power struggles. From the outside, it might have seemed as though the system was impenetrable, that those who wielded power were untouchable. But the truth was always right in front of you. You knew something was wrong. You knew that the people in power were not the ones who should be leading. And now, it's time to expose it all. The false constructs of power are built on a foundation of deception. They are the carefully crafted narratives designed to keep people in line, to make them believe that they have no other choice but to accept the way things are. But the system isn't as strong as it appears. It is built on lies, and like all lies, it is destined to fall. And as the veil is lifted, the truth becomes undeniable. These false constructs were never meant to withstand the light of truth. They were never meant to be questioned. But now, as more and more people awaken to the lies that have been fed to them, the walls are crumbling. The manipulators who once controlled the narrative are losing their grip. Their lies are no longer convincing. Their influence is slipping away. It wasn't just one lie, it was a system built on layers of lies. From politics to media, from education to the economy, every part of the system has been designed to keep people in the dark. But the truth has a way of finding its way to the surface, no matter how deep it's buried. And now, the system that once controlled everything is facing its biggest challenge: the truth. The battle ahead is not just about exposing corruption, it's about tearing down the structures that have kept people oppressed. The system wasn't just wrong, it was built to prevent progress, to hold people back from realizing their true potential. And now, that system is being exposed for what it really is, a house of cards that is ready to collapse. The defenders are the ones who are leading this charge. They are the ones who are shining a light on the corruption and manipulation that has plagued society for so long. And as they expose the truth, they are not just breaking down the old system, they are building the foundation for something new. A system based on truth, transparency, and justice. A system that no longer has any place for lies. The unstoppable force of truth. Imagine standing at the edge of a storm. The wind howls and the clouds gather above you, a storm that has been brewing for years. You feel it deep within your bones. This is no ordinary storm. This is the truth. It's powerful, undeniable, and it will not be stopped. For years, the truth has been buried under layers of deceit, manipulated by those in power to serve their own interests. They thought they could control it. They thought they could silence it. But what they didn't realize is that the truth is an unstoppable force. It cannot be contained. It cannot be hidden forever. And now it's rising. The storm is here and nothing can stand in its way. When the truth begins to surface, it is like a dam breaking, releasing a flood of energy, of revelation, of justice. It cannot be controlled, and it doesn't need to be, because the truth has a power that no amount of lies can match. It is the foundation of everything, our beliefs, our actions, our future. It is the force that drives everything forward, no matter how hard those who seek to suppress it try to stop it. For so long, you've seen the world around you through a haze of deception. Maybe you were told that certain things were true, only to have your reality shattered when the truth emerged. Maybe you've spent years battling with your own doubts, trying to reconcile the version of the world you were given with the truth you felt deep inside. And now, the veil is lifting. The truth is pouring in, unstoppable, unyielding, and in its wake, it's changing everything. The systems that were built on lies cannot withstand the truth. The people who profited from those lies are scrambling, unable to contain what's coming. The truth is waking up, and so are you. You're realizing now that you've been a part of this all along. The storm you felt brewing inside you is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. Because you are part of the unstoppable force of truth that is changing the world. You are the ones who are going to push this movement forward. And as the truth gains momentum, nothing will be able to stop it. The lies will crumble, the deception will fall, and a new world will emerge, one built on transparency, authenticity, and justice. This is only the beginning, and you are at the heart of it. The truth cannot be stopped, and you, the chosen ones, are the ones carrying it forward. The awakening of the collective consciousness. It starts with a whisper, a soft, quiet murmur that grows louder with each passing day. People start to notice things they hadn't seen before. They begin to question the narratives they've been told, to wonder why things are the way they are. At first, it's just a few voices, a few individuals who are starting to wake up. But then, the whispers begin to spread. They gather momentum, multiplying with each passing moment. Suddenly, it's not just one person who sees the truth, it's thousands, then millions. The collective consciousness is awakening. It's not just about individuals realizing the truth, it's about a whole society, a whole world, coming to the same realization at once. The veil that has covered people's eyes for so long is starting to lift. The illusions they were fed are dissolving, and they are beginning to see the world for what it really is. This is the awakening of the collective consciousness. It's happening right now all around you. You can feel it, can't you? The energy in the air, the sense that something is changing. It's not just a shift, it's a revolution, and it's happening within each of us. As you awaken, you begin to see the connections between yourself and others, between your story and the stories of those around you. You realize that the fight isn't just yours, it's everyone's, and you're not alone. The collective consciousness is rising. And as more people wake up to the truth, the movement grows stronger. The power of the collective is unstoppable. Every individual who awakens is like a spark that lights another fire. Together, you are creating something that no one can stop, an unstoppable force of truth, unity, and transformation. The more people awaken, the more the collective consciousness expands, and with it, the power to change the world. This is not just about changing the way we think. It's about changing the way we live. The systems that have been in place for centuries, built on lies and manipulation, are beginning to crumble. And as they do, a new world is being born, one based on truth, justice, and collective responsibility. The awakening is here and you are part of it. As you awaken, so does the world. Together, you are creating a future that is brighter, freer, and more just than anything that has come before. The collective consciousness has risen, and nothing can stop it now. The enemy's desperation, the collapse of false narratives, they thought they had it all figured out. The architects of the old world, the ones who built the systems of control and manipulation, believed they were untouchable. They believed they could hold the narrative in their hands, shaping it to fit their agenda. But what they didn't account for was the power of truth. And now the collapse has begun. The enemy's desperation is palpable. They see the walls closing in, their control slipping away. The stories they've told for so long are no longer holding up under scrutiny. The lies they've spread are being exposed for what they are, and they know it. They can feel it. The ground beneath their feet is shaking, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. The lies are unraveling, and with each piece that falls away, their power diminishes. The carefully constructed narratives that once kept people in check are now being torn apart, piece by piece. The systems they built to manipulate and control are falling apart, and there's nothing they can do to put them back together. Desperation is setting in. They lash out. They try to reassert their control to silence the truth. But every time they do, they expose themselves even more. Every desperate attempt to hold onto their power makes it clearer that their time is up. The lies they told are crumbling. The stories they spun are collapsing. And the truth is rising, stronger than ever. The enemy is scrambling, trying to find new ways to control the narrative, but they are fighting a losing battle. The truth has already found its way into the light, and it will not be silenced. Their desperation is their undoing. As the truth spreads, as more and more people see through the lies, their hold on the world weakens. They know it's over and they can't stop it. The collapse of their false narratives is inevitable, and with it, the dawn of a new world. The power of the defenders, unity and strength in numbers. The defenders are not just passive bystanders, they are warriors. They are the ones who stand tall in the face of adversity, who rise to the challenge and refuse to back down. The power of the defenders lies not just in their numbers, but in their unity. When people come together, when they stand side by side in the name of truth, there is nothing that can stop them. The defenders are the heartbeat of this movement. They are the ones who are pushing the wave of change forward. And together, they are an unstoppable force. The defenders come from all walks of life: artists, activists, writers, scientists, everyday people who have decided that they will no longer stand by and watch the world burn. They've seen the truth, and they know that they can no longer remain silent. They are the ones who are not just speaking out, they are standing up. They are fighting, not with weapons, but with their voices, their actions, and their unwavering commitment to justice. And the more they stand together, the stronger they become. There is a strength in numbers, yes, but there is an even greater strength in unity. When the defenders unite, they create a force that no one can defeat. They support each other, they lift each other up, and they refuse to let anyone stand alone. The power of the defenders is not just in their ability to speak out, it's in their ability to come together, to create a network of support that is more powerful than anything the enemy can throw at them. They are united in their cause, and that unity is their strength. Together, they are a force to be reckoned with. Together, they are unstoppable. Divine justice, the universal laws at work. There are forces at work in this world that go beyond human understanding. Forces that cannot be controlled, manipulated, or bought. These are the forces of divine justice, the universal laws that govern everything in existence. For years, those in power believed they were above these laws. They thought they could manipulate reality to their will, that they could bend the universe to suit their desires. But what they failed to realize is that the universe always has a way of restoring balance. And now, divine justice is at work. The laws of the universe are not something that can be ignored or manipulated. They are as unyielding as gravity, as certain as the rising of the sun. When those in power break these laws, when they act with dishonesty, deceit, and corruption, they set in motion a chain of events that cannot be stopped. The universe always finds a way to restore balance. Divine justice is inevitable. It may not come immediately, but it always comes. The chosen ones are the ones who are aligned with these laws. You are the ones who are in tune with the rhythms of the universe. The ones who understand that truth, justice, and integrity are the foundation of everything. As you stand in your truth, you become an instrument of divine justice. And as more and more people align with these principles, the power of divine justice grows. The old systems of control and manipulation can no longer withstand the force of universal law. The lies they told are unraveling, and the truth is emerging. Divine justice is unfolding, and nothing can stop it. It is the natural order of things. the great balancing act of the universe, and those who tried to fight against it are now facing the consequences of their actions. The universe has a way of righting wrongs, and divine justice is working its magic. As the chosen ones, you are part of this grand cosmic dance, and together we will witness the restoration of balance. The Defenders' victory, not destruction, but transformation. It was never about revenge. It was never about destruction. From the very beginning, the Defenders knew that the true victory would not come through tearing down the old world, though that would be a natural consequence. The real victory would be the transformation of what had been broken. They weren't here to destroy just for the sake of it. They were here to rebuild. The systems of oppression, manipulation, and deceit had been so entrenched for so long that their collapse seemed inevitable. But in this process of collapse, there was something much greater happening, a transformation of consciousness, a shift from darkness into light. The Defenders understood that in order for true change to happen, they had to do more than just expose the lies. They had to create a new way of living. They weren't just confronting the old systems, they were showing everyone a better way, a new path forward. Every challenge, every setback, every attack was not a defeat, but a stepping stone toward this transformation. They knew that the old world would not fall without resistance, but each resistance they faced only served to prove their commitment to truth. With each obstacle, the Defenders grew stronger, more united, more committed. And with every piece of corruption that was unearthed, with every lie that was exposed, the vision for a better world grew clearer. The enemy thought they could break the Defenders. They thought they could discredit them, isolate them, and make them retreat into silence. But the more they attacked, the more the Defenders' resolve solidified. They didn't crumble under pressure, they transformed. And as the Defenders grew in strength, so did the movement. What had begun as a small rebellion of the brave became a global shift, a powerful, unstoppable force that could not be turned back. It wasn't about breaking things down. It wasn't about vengeance. It was about creating something better. The Defenders' victory wasn't about eliminating the enemy. It was about replacing what was broken with something beautiful, something true. It was about creating a world where the truth could not be suppressed any longer. The transformation was happening, and those who had stood in the shadows for so long, unwilling to fight, now found the courage to join in. The victory of the Defenders was the victory of truth, of unity, and of transformation. And in the end, the old world did not die because of destruction. It died because it could no longer stand against the power of what was being created in its place. The Soul Tribe, unified by a shared purpose. In the midst of all the chaos and upheaval, something extraordinary began to happen. The Defenders, those who had once fought alone, began to find each other. They were no longer isolated individuals trying to carve a path forward by themselves. They were becoming part of something greater. They were finding their tribe. It wasn't just a group of people who shared the same cause, it was something deeper. It was a connection that went beyond words, beyond intellect. It was a bond of the soul, a recognition of the divine spark within each person that connected them to something greater. The Soul Tribe was not born out of convenience, it was born out of necessity. The awakening had brought them together, and they understood now that their purpose was far larger than they had imagined. They were not merely fighting for themselves or for some distant ideal. They were fighting for each other, bound together by a shared purpose, a shared vision of a world where truth, justice, and love could reign. Each member of the Soul Tribe brought their unique energy, their unique skills, and their unique perspective to the table. It wasn't about finding common ground, it was about celebrating differences and understanding that they all played a part in the greater plan. Some were writers, some were activists, some were thinkers, and some were healers. But together, they formed a collective force that was unstoppable. The beauty of the Soul Tribe was that it didn't have to be organized in any conventional way. It wasn't about rigid hierarchies or centralized leadership. It was about a shared energy, a flow of consciousness that moved through each person, connecting them like a web of light. Every time a new member of the Soul Tribe awakened, the energy of the group grew. And as more and more people joined the movement, the power of the tribe intensified. But it wasn't just about strength in numbers. It was about strength in unity. The Soul Tribe didn't just come together because they had a common enemy. They came together because they recognized something sacred in each other. They knew that by standing together, they could create something that transcended the old world. They weren't just fighting against oppression, they were fighting for the kind of world they wanted to create. The Soul Tribe was not just a collection of individuals. It was a living, breathing organism, full of energy, creativity, and purpose. It was the heart of the movement. And as the Soul Tribe grew, it began to spread its energy far and wide, touching lives and awakening souls wherever it went. What began as a small spark was now a blazing fire, lighting the way for all who were ready to awaken. Together, they were creating a new reality. And that reality was rooted in love, truth, and unity. The Soul Tribe was the embodiment of the transformation that was sweeping the world. They were the ones who would carry the flame of the new world forward. The rise of new systems, a new era of truth and justice. As the old systems began to crumble under the weight of their own lies, something remarkable began to emerge. New systems were rising from the ashes of the old world. These weren't systems built on greed, power, or control. They were systems built on truth, justice, and transparency. The old world, with all its corruption and manipulation, was fading away, and in its place was a new world, one that was grounded in integrity. The rise of these new systems wasn't something that happened overnight. It wasn't about the immediate overthrow of the old power structures. It was about a gradual, persistent change that was taking place in the hearts and minds of people. The more people awakened, the more the systems that had once controlled them began to lose their power. It was like a wave of consciousness sweeping across the globe, a collective awakening that demanded change. The new systems that were rising weren't just political or economic systems. They were new ways of thinking, new ways of living. They were systems rooted in collaboration, in cooperation, in the belief that the collective good was more important than individual gain. These new systems weren't just about creating fairness, they were about creating a world where everyone could thrive. The Defenders and their Soul Tribe were leading this transformation. They understood that the old systems weren't just broken, they were toxic. They had to be replaced with something better. But the creation of new systems wasn't about imitating the old ways. It wasn't about power structures that placed some above others. It was about creating communities where every voice was heard, every person had a seat at the table, and the truth was the foundation of everything. The new systems that were rising were not perfect, but they were better. They were built on a vision of a more just world, where truth and justice weren't just ideals, they were the operating principles of society. And as these new systems grew, they began to take root in every corner of the world. People were no longer willing to accept the status quo. They were no longer willing to be silenced or manipulated. The rise of new systems wasn't just a revolution, it was a reawakening. It was the beginning of a new era, an era where truth and justice were the cornerstones of society, and where the old powers that once ruled with fear and deception were no longer relevant. The world was changing, and it was changing for the better. The new systems were a reflection of the new consciousness that was sweeping the globe, a consciousness rooted in love, unity, and truth. Conclusion, the beginning of a new chapter. And so, we stand at the threshold of a new world. The old systems are crumbling and the new systems are rising. The Defenders have won, not through violence, but through their unwavering commitment to truth. The Soul Tribe has found its purpose, united by a common vision of a world rooted in justice and integrity. And as the dust settles, a new chapter begins. But this is not the end. It is only the beginning. The journey ahead will not be without its challenges, but the path is clear. The movement that has been ignited cannot be extinguished. It will continue to grow, to expand, to touch more lives and awaken more souls. The new world that is emerging is one where truth is no longer hidden, where justice is no longer denied, and where love is the foundation of all things. As you stand at the beginning of this new chapter, know this: you are part of something much larger than yourself. The choices you make, the actions you take, the energy you bring to the world all matter. The story is still being written. And you, the chosen ones, the defenders, the warriors of truth, are the ones riding it. Together we are creating a world where truth reigns, where justice is served, and where love leads the way. The new chapter has begun, and it is one of limitless possibility. Welcome to the new world. Welcome to the future.